Hey, it is Aliki here and I have been traveling Colombia for 6 weeks now. I feel like I have learned so much and there are so many things I wish I knew before I traveled to Colombia. So in today's video, I will share with you 25 things you should know before you travel to Colombia. There is no specific order. It's not like most important and least important. It's just that I've listed them from the moment I tried to get into the country, and then obviously all the things in a daily life. So no specific order. And without further ado, let's get into it. Get a ticket out of Colombia. I mean, this one, we hadn't even got to Colombia, we already had our first issue. We booked a one-way ticket from Barcelona to Bogota. We are at the airport, showing our passport, boarding pass, really happy, really excited, want to get on a plane, and they say they're not gonna let us on the plane because we don't have a ticket out of Colombia. We explained and we're just planning to stay for a month, it's a tourist visa, and they won't let you on the plane unless you have a proof that you're gonna be leaving country within the 90 days. And we didn't have that, so we literally in the last minute, like there at literally before getting on the plane, we booked the cheapest tickets we could possibly find. It turned out to be to Panama. We just booked like a super random tickets to Panama just so we have a proof that we're gonna leave Colombia. And thankfully we got the tickets and we got on the plane, and then we just canceled them a week after. So I guess you don't actually need the ticket out during your whole trip. Once you're in Colombia, you're fine, but you will need a proof that you will be leaving Colombia within the 90 days. So as I said, you can stay in Colombia for 90 days. It's like a standard tourist visa. Americans, Europeans, Brits, all of them, we can stay 90 days. There are a few countries that do need a specific visa. So if you're not from America, Europe, or United Kingdom, then make sure, double check if you need a special visa to get into Colombia. So visa-wise, you don't need to do anything extra. You just arrive to Colombia and you'll be fine. But you will need to fill in the immigration form. I'm gonna put the link in the description. I will also have it on my blog where I'm gonna summarize everything I've been talking about today in this video. So yeah, you just need to fill in the form. It's very basic. You just need to fill in the basic information. I think it also includes some information connected with COVID. So yeah, just fill it in and you can either print it out, or if you have it on your phone digitally, it's completely fine. In Colombia, it's actually in general an amazing thing. Of course, in the airport, you need to have actual passport and actual COVID certificates and all that. But whenever you are somewhere in a city and you need to show your passport or COVID certificate, you can do it simply on the phone. They accept a picture of it. So that's really, really great because you don't need to carry, passport and other documents with you. Regarding vaccines, there is no mandatory vaccine you definitely need to have when entering Colombia. I think a lot of people have been asking about yellow fever vaccine, but you don't need yellow fever vaccine to enter Colombia. It is recommended, especially if you're going to the Amazon area and the surrounding area. The entrances to the national parks and reserves, they will ask you the proof of yellow fever vaccine. But if you stay within the cities and most of the Colombia, you won't need yellow fever vaccine. There are other vaccines that are recommended for foreigners, which is A and B hepatitis and typhoid. I won't comment on COVID vaccine because I feel like you might watch this video after a month or two, and you know how it is with COVID. Everything changes like every day, so something I say now might not be relevant in 1 week's time. But at the moment, in March 2022, to enter Colombia, you either need a certificate of vaccination, or you actually can just show a negative PCR test, and then you can enter Colombia too. Weather in Colombia depends on the altitude rather than the time of the year. So you can be in Bogota, high up in the mountains, and it's going to be cool and refreshing there. And at the same time, you can be by the Caribbean with 35 degrees, where it's really, really hot. You can be by the beach in your swimsuit. So really, really, it depends from the altitude rather than the time of the year, because I think in Colombia, the weather is absolutely perfect in a sense that it's very consistent throughout the whole year. So either you choose a cooler climate up in the mountains or like a hotter one by the Caribbean, the whole year you're gonna have a really, really good weather. The only thing that influences it is the wet and the dry season. So obviously in the wet season it's gonna rain a bit more, but I mean it's still warm in Colombia, especially by the Caribbean, so the rain doesn't kind of really affect the temperature. So of course you want to be mostly traveling during the dry season, which is from December until January, and then again from July till August. Either way, if you are high up in the mountains or by the Caribbean, learn from my mistakes and put the sunscreen on, because we just arrived to Bogota my first day. I felt like it's chilly. I put my jumper on. I obviously didn't put any sunscreen on, and I burned on the first day. So it doesn't matter how high up you are or how like cool or chilly it is. Definitely put the sunscreen on, because you will burn either way. Altitude sickness is a real thing. Before coming to Colombia, I've heard about it and I was like, nah, it's not gonna affect me, because you know, I've been hiking before, I've been up in the mountains, it's fine. And then obviously Bogota was my first destination, and on the second day I was doing a tour and I actually fainted. So I was quite scary. So the best recommendations against the altitude sickness is to just drink a lot of water, and that day I didn't drink at all, so it was my own mistake. But yeah, drink a lot of water, drink coffee with sugar, and you're most probably gonna feel a bit sick, but try to eat, because eating will help you to get back. So yeah, but I know you're gonna feel like a bit sick, but just push yourself and have something to eat. Do not read into crazy stories about safety in Colombia too much, because yes, there is safety issues in many places, but I feel like as long as you have a common sense, you'll be completely fine. If you stick with the tourist places, you know, you're not gonna challenge your destiny and, you know, explore some really dangerous parts of the city, you will be completely fine. Just have a common sense. The locals have a saying, don't give a papaya, which is basically, you know, don't do silly stuff, don't, you know, show off your expensive camera and just have your phone in your hand, because yes, people can just, you know, run past you and grab the phone out. So as long as you don't do silly things and you stick, you know, with the touristic places and just don't wander off in some dangerous neighborhoods, you will be completely fine. I think for tourists, the main worry is just the pickpockets. So make sure you have your bag in front of you if you feel like you're not in the best area. So yeah, have a bag in front of you. Don't pull your phone out. Have all your important stuff behind a zipper, so like a closed pocket. Just the basic things like that. And for tourists, it should be completely fine. You can't generalize the whole city by saying it's dangerous or it's not dangerous. There are always safer neighborhoods and not so safe neighborhoods. So I think probably the best when you arrive to the hotel, just speak with the receptionist. He's gonna be local, he's gonna know best. Just ask which areas are better during the day, but definitely not to go during the night. And just have a little research about the city before you go on your explore. Police are everywhere, and I want to make this point because when I first arrived on my first day in Bogota, I saw police on every corner and I started to get a bit worried. I thought, what's happening? Is there been some kind of riots in the city or anything? But then when we obviously ask around to the locals, it turns out that just the police are on every corner. Like, it's just how it is. It's to protect the tourists, to protect the locals, to make, you know, to keep the area safe. So really don't worry, there is nothing going on. It's just normal that the police are on every corner. The same goes for the razor wire around the fences. It's just completely normal that people have them around their houses. It doesn't mean that it's extremely dangerous area and everyone is trying to rob the house every night. It's just kind of like a standard practice in Colombia to have these razor wires around your house. Locals can get quite offended if you write it the wrong way, so make sure to make a note of this. Learn some basic Spanish. I definitely recommend learning some basic phrases and numbers so you don't get ripped off in taxis and other places. And I think you definitely need some basic Spanish just to get out of the situation, just be able to sort out some stuff, because there will be a lot on your way where people just won't speak English, and you know you need to get to A to B and you need to be able to explain it. That's like the practical side of this point, but then there is this like emotional side of this point where I feel like if you have some basic Spanish, then you're just gonna enjoy the country so much more, because there is so much going on the streets and everywhere. You kind of want to be in the action, you want to understand what it is all about. So I feel like if you are going to have some basic Spanish, you're actually gonna enjoy the country and the culture much more. Or if you don't have a basic Spanish, then make sure you have data on your phone so you can use a Google Translate, because as I said, there will be places where they won't speak English and you need to just sort stuff out. I recommend Claro, which is the most popular provider in Colombia. You can either buy it in a shop or you can buy it from the representatives on the street. They are completely legit. They have like red t-shirts saying Claro, so you can buy simply on the street too. It's completely safe and normal. Do not get ripped off. Just so you know around the prices, it's around €1 for 1 gig, so a bit less than a pound, a bit more than $1 for 1 gig. And make sure you're buying for 30 days rather than 7 days, because obviously then the date is just, even if you haven't spent it, it's just gonna finish off in 7 days. Do not buy data in Bogota airport. We got ripped off. We paid like 3 times more. So just buy data in Claro shops in the cities and towns or from the representatives on the street. Prepare cash. I definitely recommend having some cash in your wallet all the time, because there will be places that won't accept card. Also, if you just want to buy a water or some juices on the street or just like a street food, definitely 100% just cash. Also, you will prefer to pay with the cash sometimes, because in some places they actually charge up to 5% from your purchase. So if you're buying something bigger, you know, going for a bigger dinner, then at the end percent can be quite a lot. So I definitely recommend always having some cash with you. And the best places in Colombia where to change money are actually airports. They have the best exchange rates. Internal flights by plane has been the biggest surprise for me in Colombia, because before we arrived we thought we were gonna take a bus everywhere, but then for whatever reason we started to check the internal flights and they are just so cheap. You can have like a one-way ticket for €20 from one big city to another that is really far, that with a bus will take us 11 hours, and with the plane it's like 40 minutes and it only costs like €20, where the bus costs €10. So I feel like for the convenience it's so worth it. This takes me to my next point: buses in Colombia. They are supposed to be safe and good, and the whole bus system is really good. You can travel to many places with the bus, but the problem is that there always is this little safety concern with it. So for example, we were supposed to take a bus from Santa Marta to Cartagena, and 2 weeks ago on the same route a bus got robbed. Like everyone on the bus got robbed. Of course it was a night bus, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. So after we found out about that robbery, we booked a day bus, which was still fine because then you can see a nice views on your way. But there is always that safety concern that comes with taking a bus ride. So I think that's why most of the time we chose the cheap internal flights, just because that gives us extra security. Okay, let's get the facts straight. Yes, Uber and similar apps are illegal in Colombia. Another fact, everyone still uses them. We used Uber and was completely fine despite the fact that it's illegal, and actually all the locals recommended us to use Uber and similar apps, because taxis actually can charge you more than you should. And on Uber you actually have driver's information, you have all the data about them, so it's actually safer to use Uber despite that it's legal rather than a taxi. I've heard some crazy taxi stories. Thankfully we've traveled Colombia for 6 weeks, we never had issues, because Uber is illegal in Colombia. There are actually places, for example like Santa Marta and Pereira, and I'm sure there are other places where actually Uber is not working, so you won't be able to order Uber. So then we had to take a normal taxi and it was completely fine. But yeah, actually locals always suggested us to use Uber and other apps. Another app that we used is called Cabify, and yeah, I used it. It works perfectly, we had no issues. So probably Uber and Cabify would be my top 2 apps to recommend to use in Colombia. Traffic in cities are mad, so definitely do not rent a car. Only rent a car if you're planning to go up in the mountains. And from the other point of view, if you are a pedestrian, then just look 5 times on both sides before you cross the road. Do not mention his name, so don't mention Pablo Escobar, because there are very different opinions in Colombia about Pablo Escobar. There are people who still praise him, and then there are people who have gone through such a dramatic times, so much suffering. So definitely don't make jokes about him and don't start a conversation about him. If the other person talks about it, then obviously you can comment on it, but I think you need to learn and know the facts of the history of Colombia and his influence before you actually can like talk about it and make jokes, which I wouldn't do either way. Before coming to Colombia, you definitely have to join these 2 Facebook groups. They are absolutely amazing. They have helped me, they have given me some amazing ideas. If you want to meet other people and other travelers in your destinations, you can actually like organize hikes together or tours together. Like, these 2 groups are amazing. I think they will be a very, very good help for your Colombia trip. I'm on those 2 groups too, and whenever I see people asking some questions, I'm the first one to answer, because the groups help me so much. I kind of want to give back, so maybe I'll see you in those 2 groups. Just be ready to be eaten alive. They are everywhere and they're gonna get you. Especially we went up in the mountains to Minca. I returned from Minca and like my all legs were covered in bites, so just prepare some sprays against them, against the mosquitoes, and some creams, you know, after for the bites, and just be ready for it. Just be ready. The biggest shock and inconvenience have been the cold showers. The higher up you're gonna go, the smaller the chance that your accommodation is going to have hot water, so just be, again, another thing just to be ready for. Of course, if you stay in a 5-star hotels, that's not gonna happen. This point probably is more for Europeans and Brits, because in Colombia, basically they have the American system where the tip is already automatically included in the bill. It's gonna be from 5 till 10%. So yeah, so if you come from Europe or UK, then just be prepared that you will automatically be paying the tip set by the restaurant, so you can't really choose how much you want to leave. It's just gonna be automatically there in the bill. Watch your step, because you will actually find like these massive holes in like these big cities where, you know, you wouldn't expect that. So don't be on your phone. don't look too much around. Always watch where you go, because the holes are big enough for you to actually fall in there, or at least, you know, injure your, you know, your ankle or something. So definitely be careful about that. Just have patience, because everything takes a long time in Colombia. So any kind of, you know, serving, any kind of customer service type of stuff, like all that is going to take ages. I had to put this in here because I think that was for me probably the biggest culture shock. They really don't use spoons, they only use like these little straws. Enjoy it. Just enjoy this amazing country. This country is so beautiful. There's so much to do. I really highly recommend visiting Colombia. Just take these tips, you know, so you can prepare for your trip better. But I promise you, you're going to love Colombia. There is this very popular saying, the only threat in Colombia is not wanting to leave. And now being Colombia, experiencing Colombia, I so agree. My absolute favorite places in Colombia have been Salento, Minca, Guatapé, Cartagena, and Bogota, also Tayrona Park. So I have videos on all of those places. So if you're planning to visit one of them, or you just want to plan your trip in Colombia, make sure to check my channel and get some ideas for your trip. If I have missed anything, if you feel like there is any other advice people should know about, please feel free to comment in the comments, so people, you know, who are preparing for the trip and watching this video, they can have some extra tips and recommendations for their trip. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and share it with other people who are, you know, planning their trip to Colombia, or who would find this video also very useful.